Okay, so I just activated recording and I'm testing here to see if the captions are on. Um, Myra or Jennifer, can you let me know if you're seeing captions or subtitles? Still not seeing them. Okay.
I don't see anything either.
The recording again. Here we go. Hello and welcome everybody to the September um HRC meeting. I'm gonna do just a couple quick housekeeping items here. We do have interpreters for tonight's meeting. So if you would like to utilize the service, please do select the interpretation channel of your choice down below at the bottom of your screen. You should see the option. It will be a little globe that says interpretation right underneath it. And you will then click English or Spanish. And I'm going to just repeat that in Spanish real quick. Buenas tardes, gracias por participar en esta reunión de la Comisión de Relaciones Humanas de la ciudad de Boulder. Para esta noche tenemos un servicio de interpretación y pedimos que ustedes elijan un canal para el idioma que prefiere. En su pantalla, en la parte de abajo, debe ver un globo mundial. Puede hacer un clic en este globo mundial y escoger el idioma que quiere escuchar esta reunión. Y estamos grabando esta reunión también. Gonna give everybody just a minute. Give me a thumbs up once you're in there. Les voy a dar un momento para elijan su idioma preferido. All right. Thank you all. And I am going to share my screen real quick so we have tonight's agenda up on the beautiful. And JH, I'm going to turn it over to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the HRC meeting. It is 6:05. And we officially start this meeting. My name is Jean, and I'm the chair of the commission, the Human Relations Commission. Thank you and welcome again. So we move on to any agenda adjustment any commissioners have. Any commissioners have an agenda adjustment? I can't see anybody, but if nobody has anything, you probably, Christian, can let me know. If not, we can just move on.
Yeah, good to go.
I think we are good to go. I'm not seeing anybody raising their hand for any adjustments here. Sorry, I'm multitasking.
No, it's all good. Moving on to approving our previous meeting minutes. At every meeting, our secretary takes notes. Those notes are called minutes. Every month, minutes are included in our packets. We review them and approve them the following month, and that is always part of the agenda. Any adjustment to the minutes? Okay, not. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes from, okay. And a motion to second the motion, a motion to second the motion?
Second.
All in favor? So can you see me? I can only see Christian there.
Yep, we got all eyes, all yeses.
Okay, cool. So that brings us up to item 4, which is community participation. For community participation, members of the public joins our meetings and contribute. They have 2 minutes to share, and staff has time to respond. Community members can sign up in advance. Christian, has anyone signed up to speak?
So we haven't had anybody reach out to speak. It looks like we have, give me just 1 second. Looks like we have one audience member for tonight. So if they would like to make public comment, we just ask that they raise their hand and I can unmute them as well.
So, well, Christian already said it, but I don't know if I should. Is anyone present who would like to participate?
Yes, and if you are looking to participate in the audience tonight, you can select the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. We'll just give them a quick minute. And if not, JH, I think you're good to keep moving.
Okay, cool. So now we move on to our action items. Now we're at the part of the meeting where we have discussion and informal items. As a reminder, we do not need to vote, but invite you all to participate openly.
And just looking at the agenda for tonight, we did not have any action items that were highlighted in our agenda planning. So I don't have anything under there for now.
Yes. Let's keep moving. So
Good to
now
keep
we are
moving.
moving onto the staff update.
We do have a few discussion / informational items that Aaron was gonna share out that would be next, JH, just to let you know.
Oh, sure. Okay, let's go with it, before I go to the staff update now.
Okay, sweet. I'm looking at the agenda and I'm seeing the first one on the list of the letter to city manager on community tension due to Israel-Hamas conflict. So I think y'all remember a couple months back, we had Mark Führer come and speak to that. And we had a little bit of discussion around what is HRC's role in this. And one of the things we talked about was the possibility of HRC kind of suggesting to city council or city staff about maybe facilitating or more likely like sponsoring some kind of dialogue. And I think that to me, the dialogue, especially around tensions in the Middle East, but like I think that right now it's really present just for us to have better community dialogue. Like I know, like with the election, there's new tensions arising, and so I think it's a really worthwhile thing to look at. How do we support better dialogue happening in the city that can address these tensions? And for this action item, we're specifically looking at that with regards to the Middle East conflict. So I've sent out to each one of you a draft of a letter to Nuria to kind of inquire into whether this is possible and to give us some information about potential steps that we could take going forward. So maybe I can bring that up, and if there's any discussion people want to have about that, then we can do that. Would it be useful, Christian or anybody, to maybe we can share that doc? I can screen share if you allow me, or I can send it to you, Christian.
Give me 1 sec. I think, do you not have you're not seeing screen share at the bottom of your screen, Aaron?
Oh, it's just saying we just can't have multiple presenters. So maybe if you stop sharing.
Yeah. Just making sure you got that option. So I'm going to stop so you can start. There you go.
Okay, I just had to enable it, so hopefully it'll work without me restarting my Zoom. So y'all can let me know if you see this. Oops.
I'm seeing it at least.
You're seeing, okay, perfect. Great.
Others can give a thumbs up. It looks like Feker is seeing it, Emily's seeing it, Elizabeth, JH.
It's very, very tiny though. There we go.
Might need a magnifying glass.
Bum, bum, bum. Okay, there we
I
go.
think we can all zoom in.
Yeah, well, here we go. So here's this. What would be useful? Should I give some space to do it? Should I read it out loud and discuss? I don't know if people have read it already. Anybody want to pipe in with what would be useful here?
Can I clarify what our objective is here? Or is our objective to get consensus on sending this draft to Nuria?
I think so. Yeah, maybe if there's any discussion, if there's any adjustments we want to make, if there's larger adjustments, we can do those outside. But if there's small adjustments, then maybe we can just do that now. And I would think that a good place to end this would be is if possible to have consensus to send this off to Nuria to get the discussion rolling.
Yeah, maybe Aaron, could you go down a little bit just so we can see most of the letter? And then give us a little bit of time to read it and then
There we go.
open up for discussion. Thank you.
Everyone still need a little bit more time to read it?
I think it looks really good, Aaron. So I, it's a really good letter. I did read it earlier when when you text, when you sent it. It's a really good letter. So
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, for taking the lead and writing it. I wrote this in the chat. I think maybe positioning ourselves with how this issue rose to our attention as a body, as a commission. So suggested moving Mark and their role up to the second paragraph to start, just because that seems like that's how, from my understanding, how this came to our attention as an issue.
Gotcha. Do you think that
Yeah, moving that up.
like here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
This whole thing could probably go away. It's probably not necessary.
yeah. I mean, unless I think you were naming a couple of
Oh.
city
Oh, yeah.
Council.
I think that part is actually important to
Yeah.
show there are parties in the council that are interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other small comment I had is honing in a little bit more specifically. You say in the third paragraph, the idea of dialogue around the conflict has been floated. I'm curious if we want to pitch it in scoping that way, or if we want to pitch it more, explore more of like how the conflicts are presenting in our community or impacting our community, something a little more like localizing
Uh-huh.
the genocide. I think just
Oh,
might reinforce the case that we're making that it's a relevant conflict to address.
impacts of this conflict on our community.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And then getting rid of the passive voice in that sentence. So like who floated the idea? Like where did that idea of a dialogue come from?
Interesting. You want to speak a little more clearly to that, or what you would suggest?
Well, I just mean like, was it, Aaron, like, is it your idea that a dialogue, and then like that seemed like a generally agreeable path to the people you spoke to? Was like someone I spoke to shared that a dialogue might work?
I think I've heard it come from multiple directions. I've heard it come directly from city council people. I've heard it come directly from Mark. I've heard it come directly from me. To me, there's not one source. It's just kind of been in discussion.
Okay, so something like we've discussed the idea of a dialogue,
Yeah, great.
and then getting rid of has been discussed.
Yeah, that feels good. Yeah. Cool.
And then this might be opening up a can of worms, but I'm also curious if, given the anti-Asian hate crime that happened last week, if we bring that in and just say, and again, this is an open question because I think there are threads that are related, and obviously they're completely different conflicts, but there's like racial oppression in both of them. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to acknowledge that. And I think if we were a dialogue around issues that impact our community like that, in my opinion, gets a little bit nebulous. But yeah, curious what others think along those lines now that a couple months have passed since you wrote this letter, and given what happened last week.
Yeah. Keep this open to conflict arising in our community beyond just in relation to the Middle East. Does that sound good?
I guess I want to hear what JH and Vicar think, because I guess personally I'm not wholly convinced that a broader conversation on conflict in our community would be effective. I think something more direct about the Israel-Hamas conflict that's happening would be more effective, but I'm curious what others think.
Well, I think I think it would be important to keep them separate. That's what I would say. So I don't know what you think, because instead of having it as a big, broad conversation, when it's like Christian just did, it's like focus on one thing, and then if we have to talk about the Asian thing, we can definitely do something else. And I think I've read an email from a past commissioner, what's her name again? Gosh, how can I forget her name?
Christine.
Christine, yeah. Christine sent a good email out, and Christine is a really well, like an outspoken person, which I wish was with us still, but at the same time, I don't know, you guys, we can make a decision and decided to do something about that too, you know. And so far here, there's nothing. But I'm Haitian, we're being under the scrutiny that we're eating dogs and cats as well. And believe it or not, I've been to a few places here where people are nice, but at the same time, I feel like because I made a name for myself in this community, I feel safe. And I have a lot of friends that doesn't feel safe, do not feel safe, and Springfield that I talk to. So at the same time, but I think again, the what I would like to conclude on that is, if we keep them separate, make them each their own conversation, it's not because they're different, it's because that will keep the conversation unique, and it's the outcome could be faster and better for
Mhm.
each.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe let's keep this last paragraph off, keep this one focused, and then be in dialogue about the broader topic that this is kind of referencing.
Definitely. Thank you.
I think that's a great idea.
And I'm just calling out, we lost Peeker for a moment. Looks like she is coming back as the panelist. I see her now. Okay.
Hey
Welcome back.
guys, I'm so sorry. My Wi-Fi kicked me out, so I'm on my phone right now. So last thing I heard was Emily bringing up if we should bring up the hate crime in this document. So what did you guys decide?
We were leaning towards not doing that and keeping this focused.
Okay, that's exactly how I feel as well.
Cool. Sweet. Great. Anybody have any more thoughts before we take it to a vote?
I guess something about the first sentence to me is landing a little bit not great. Just like, this is about the efficient flow of city business. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, this is about,
Um,
to me, this is about like
maybe it's just that.
deep pain and historical trauma in our community that's
Yeah.
surfacing. But I know I'm curious if others have input into how to address tensions arising in our city feels a little, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know honestly that it will impact the outcome very much, but I'm just thinking about someone who feels extremely impacted.
Yeah, I'm realizing that it kind of the second paragraph gets to community dialogue without talking about the Middle East conflict. So how to address tensions arising in our city, particularly in relation to what is happening in the Middle East, and the way many in our community are feeling personally affected by it. How's that feel?
That feels a little bit better.
Anything you'd want to change?
Hmm.
Maybe like adding something, and the divisions, this conflict is seems to be exacerbating within our community.
Yeah, some conversation with our commission about how to address the tension. I guess for me, it feels a little bit like this letter is calling to support a process for people to remain in connection and community with each other through these deeply entrenched, deeply personal and painful experiences they're having.
Yeah, I like that. I'm wondering if you can say that again. It's like this letter is calling for like
A
process
process through which community members can remain in relationship with one another while having while experiencing, I don't know, deep
experiencing like okay.
pain or
Yeah. Seeing deep pain. Do we also want to say like and holding divergent perspectives? Does that add well to that?
yeah, and experiencing different, I don't know, experiencing different realities or
Does divergent, does that work?
I would put maybe different instead of divergent.
Okay. Different perspectives from other members. Yeah. Cool. Sweet. Yeah, I like that. It's front loading it a bit. That makes it kind of a little bit more clear what's going on here. Cool.
I like it as well.
Sweet. Any more thoughts? Do we all feel good about sending this to Nuria to start the discussion? If so, then I will move to formalize sending this to Nuria, whatever that statement should be. Yeah.
I feel good about it. Thank you, Aaron, for doing that.
Yes. Cool. I think we vote on this. Yeah, vote to share this formally. Yeah. You're muted, JH. We can't hear you, JH.
I'm mute. I apologize. Do we need to take a motion for it, guys? No? Or should I don't know.
I think it wouldn't hurt. You probably can just, kind of note that you all have consensus, but if you want to take a vote, that, always helps for the record. So whichever you choose.
I'll say for the record, can somebody make a motion to approve that later?
I motion to send this letter to Nuria.
And I second it. And all in favor?
4 eyes.
Okay, good. That's perfect. And thank you again, Aaron, for doing that. So, and Emily for putting your fine touch on it as well. So, well, is there anything else, guys? Should we move to item 6?
I think there's a few more options in this, so I'll stop sharing. However I do that, stop share. Cool. Let's see. There was on the agenda, I think we had something regarding the human trafficking meeting. So this was a topic of conversation also a few months back. And I volunteered to attend a meeting with Christian and Elizabeth, where we met with Ana Sylvia, and discussed the issue of human trafficking and the role that Human Relations Commission might play in that. So this was about a bit over a month that this met. So I'm going to share my perspective, and then maybe Christian or Elizabeth can help fill in some things. But basically the gist of it is that there was a nice presentation on kind of a little bit of the issue of human trafficking, which is something that's like not affecting us profoundly in Boulder, but is still an issue somewhat here and especially throughout Colorado. And so it's something that's worth noting. And it's just there's going to be people in our community who have felt the impacts of it. And so it's just kind of in dialogue about whether this is something we want to take more of a role on. Some of what's already happening is that city employees there's a class that's being offered to city employees to help city employees know more about it. I think in the meeting we talked about like it might not make sense to like have like a formal training for HRC members, but potentially there's an option for HRC members to join when the city employees are doing it, so we can be informed about it. I think if I'm remembering right, we were like discussing that it might not make sense for us to do much formally without, of course, having more of the knowledge that's going to come from this. And so it seems like that option is there for any of us who want to be more informed. And that's about the extent of my memory. This is about a month ago. So Christian, maybe you can help out from there. Or Elizabeth. Yeah.
No, I think you did a great job there. I'm just looking back at the notes that you're probably also referencing, and where my recollection of leaving that conversation is having commissioners who might be interested in attending an upcoming training at that training to see sort of like what the content would be, and if it's something that to bring back to discuss, and see if it's something that maybe would be worth pursuing, bringing to the community or supporting in some type of way that the HRC can.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that was the needed point of like, there's a possibility of like the HRC recommending like, hey, this should be a training that's offered for anybody in Boulder who wants to attend, maybe to nonprofit leaders or like other leaders in the community or just community members. There's a few different ways that could happen. And so like, that was just floated as an option of something we might support. But before we support that, it would make sense for maybe some of us to attend one of the future trainings if we feel called to get more involved. Yeah, Emily.
I have a couple of questions. Can I ask them? So how did can you remind me their name? Was it Anna or Anna?
Anna Sylvia.
Anna, did Anna mention any ways that Boulder is tracking the incidents of human trafficking in the city?
I don't think so. Christian.
You want to take that, Christian, or shall I?
If you can, that would be great, because
Okay.
I'm not sure what the answer is to that.
Yeah. So, and I'm not 100% sure what the answer is either, except that, and I was going to mention this anyway, that the city of Boulder is not an agency that is kind of first and foremost enforcer of any kind of laws on human trafficking. That primarily comes through the county district attorney's office. So what we don't want to do, I think, is, and we as staff kind of give community members an impression that the city is an enforcement agency on human trafficking. Whether or not the city keeps data, kind of tracks data separate from the district attorney's office, I don't know, but we can certainly find out. But the outcome, if you will, or kind of the impact that if the HRC were to ultimately host some kind of event on human trafficking, would by nature be more along the lines of, this is information that we want everyone in our community to be aware of, what to look for, kind of breaking some of those stereotypes that we sometimes carry with who is impacted directly by who is being who is being trafficked, and what it looks like in a community for general information and kind of engagement, so we're all better aware and have better capacity to support people who might be experiencing that. But it would not be to kind of get the city right to take on an enforcement role that it just doesn't have. It's not within the city scope. It's more of a county, state, other government agencies role.
Yeah,
That may be more of what you were asking for, Emily, but just wanted to toss it out there.
Yeah, thanks for that, Elizabeth. Yeah, the reason that I asked the question is just that with it being like by nature a crime that's very hidden, I guess it concerns me to say like it's not an issue in our city. Before Ingrid left, she told me that that was an issue that she was concerned about and that she would potentially like us to take on. So that's in the back of my mind, that she had that desire. And then also just want to share like a personal experience that I was driving a couple of weeks ago down by like Baseline and 30th, and they're like on the backside of a highway sign, it said like human trafficking hotspot, and somebody had tagged it and said that, and then someone said that's right or agreed. So that again, this is just like it called my attention. And so I would really like to attend that training, and I would like to continue to explore what ways, one, to get more scoping and understanding of like what if it is a county level thing that is tracked, like what is it, what's the incidents that we're tracking on a county level. And then I don't know much about how to prevent human trafficking, and so would love to take the training to learn more about what methods are effective, so that maybe like you were talking about, Elizabeth, maybe as a body we can put on a training that supports our community in understanding how to intervene effectively.
Sounds good to me.
Me too. That was really well said, Emily. Thank you.
A little additional information as well on this. The looks to me like the next training opportunity for city staff, and so that we would make available to you all would be through in the spring of 2025 is when that would happen. I'm not sure. The organization that actually puts on the training is the Lab to Combat Human Trafficking. And this is a large sort of like part, I guess, community education is a large part of what they do. And so if there are opportunities for training that are in the area or that are open to the public that you're interested in attending, there's I don't think anything saying that you need to wait until the spring, but just want to put on your radar that is when the next training would be on tap for city staff.
Cool.
Are we also able to meet with someone from the county who is actually in charge of enforcement, just to get a better understanding from their perspective?
I think, I don't know, but when Claire was there, I've tried to meet with the person in the county because I had some concern about it, and I think I told you that, guys. But I don't think there's any enforcement on it, to be honest, because I think it's a subject that's hot. Everybody's afraid to touch it. And I think there are people. I can forward you the email and the contact I think Clay shared with me that I talked to, if you want. But I have tried, and it's like there are a lot of loops to go to, and it gets to a point where even though you want to help, it gets to a point where you feel like, okay, if they're the authorities to take action, they don't. So how do I am the volunteer and I bring the information and they have it all. They have all they need. They still, I don't know. I'm not gonna say they don't take any action, but there's still a barrier that something you can't see with your eyes. It's probably some kind of blockage or like speed bump they have to go over. So yeah, but I can share that with you if you need to.
Thank you, JH. And am I understanding you correctly that you did meet with someone from the county and that
I
it's
did.
okay?
Yeah, I did, and because it's I think it was like 3 years ago when I first started, and then I experienced something like in Lions where it was these people that were packing those walks, and the queries, that's their name for them. And I show up there, everybody was like done because they didn't know who I was, and they were all like, you know, people, from outside of here. Some are Hispanic, some was all black. And then when I talked to a guy there, and he said, it's like they live here, and they give them like little, how would I say it, like little tents, kind of. But if you go like in the parking lot of the Home Depot, you will see those little houses. They'll put two, three of them in one. Yeah, and then I think when Clay was there, we tried, but it's in the county, and they really give me the warning down, and I tried. So
Mhm. So like labor exploitation is what I'm hearing.
yes, it is pretty much human trafficking. Yeah.
Mhm.
I know earlier in the year, before or prior to the staff training that I know I participated in for City of Boulder staff, there had been the county district attorney's office did kind of co-host a session that was specific for people who are front facing, community facing, kind of engaging with community members or agencies where they may be more likely to encounter people who are being human trafficked. If there's an interest in reaching out to county staff, again, that's something in addition to the contact that JH will share, something Christian and I'd be more than happy to help connect, right? And if you do decide if it's going to this training first, it seemed like there were some head nods to that. And then kind of seeing what kind of event you might want to host for community members in city. There's certainly always an option of inviting or asking someone from the district attorney's office to come as well. So I think there are lots of opportunities there moving forward, however you might want to approach it.
Yeah, I guess I'm just recognizing the timeline of having the training be the hold up for us moving forward in doing something as a commission for this. So just noting as we try and initiate projects like the Dialogues project, that could be a something that pushes this back quite far if we wait for that. So I'm happy to and would be interested, Elizabeth, to meet with people from the county if that's okay with you all, the rest of the other commissioners. And I'm also happy to do some background research. I'm sure that some of the data is publicly available and some of the research on what interventions are effective for human trafficking. So I'm happy to do some background research if people think that would be helpful.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm interested as well, and it seems like JH is interested. So are we able to have someone come talk to the HRC as a whole, all together?
I don't know, Elizabeth, is that possible?
It is. I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking out loud. So the Colorado Lab, the organization that Christian mentioned earlier, and Aaron, the group we were talking about with Anna Sylvia, that is their role to kind of be the education kind of little a advocacy wing on this issue. And so if the concern is that you're thinking like, oof, spring 2025, that seems like a long time away, we might not want to wait for that. I believe another option that Aaron and Christian and I kind of heard from Ana Sylvia is we could reach out directly to the Colorado Lab and just start talking with them to say, hey, we're potentially interested in having a community facing event. Can we talk with you? So they're open, right, to kind of right sizing their presentations or their format based on community interest. So if you as commissioners really know that you want to move ahead with something, you're just like, well, we don't want to wait till next spring, or don't feel like we need to go to a training first ourselves, that's fine. We can certainly help to just continue to connect you to the Colorado Lab and, just talk about that. In terms of the scope, and, it'll take more conversation, and certainly Christian and I would flag like, ooh, that's starting to get into a budget line item. Now it's like, renting space, there are all sorts of like logistical considerations that we'd want to have plenty of lead time about, and you as well. If it seems like it's going to be a pretty substantial amount of time, then we as staff might need to, again, like get some clearance so you have kind of direction, so we can help you to the extent that we would need to for a quality event. But an occasional special event like this, if it's not, incredibly, logistically demanding and not costly, is something we can help move forward with. But anyway, backing up into the question again, if you don't have to go to a training first yourselves in order to think about doing something publicly in the Boulder community, if you know you want to go in that direction, we can certainly reconnect with the Colorado Lab with help from Ana Sylvia.
Yeah, and I guess just to fill in a little context, one of the reasons we were having the conversation and it didn't feel like too big of an issue for it not to be happening till spring is it doesn't feel like there's a huge amount of urgency with this. Like, it's a useful thing for us to be aware of it and potentially to see if there's any meaningful actions. But at least from the conversation, it didn't feel like there was like a sense that like this is something we have to do right now. But that doesn't mean it's something we can't do right now. And so I think if y'all are feeling like a sense of like that this is a high value item for you and like you want to move on it, I think that's great.
I think for me personally, given the nature of the crime and that it is hidden, JH's experience in Lyons and the graffiti that I saw the other day, I respectfully disagree that it's not an urgent issue.
Right.
If people's lives are, if they're basically being enslaved, that's an emergency. So I know that our time is finite and we're volunteers and there are many meritorious issues. But I think, as we talked about in our last meeting of like, what can we be effective at, perhaps putting on an event is something we can be effective at, promoting community awareness of how to properly intervene. And I wonder, in terms of the timing, Elizabeth, with the training, I think perhaps you're talking about like, these events have a lot of logistics. There's a lot that goes into them. So I think potentially a springtime event that is after the training, but we're working on simultaneously before the training is perhaps a timeline. Because of course I wouldn't want us to put on an event and us not be very well informed. But I think by that time we could be well informed as we plan the event. And I'm curious, Curious how others feel about that.
I think that's a good idea. I honestly, at first, I wasn't necessarily thinking of putting on an event as an HRC. I was thinking of having someone come to speak with us in the meeting as an education aspect, just because it seems like that part is already lacking, and we could use the information. And after that meeting, we can kind of decide where we want to take it. So an event would be great, but I don't know if that needs to be the first thing we do.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that point that maybe meeting with the lab, they will say X is a better use of your time and resources. So yeah, thank you. That's a good point.
Great. Cool. Well, that feels like some good, clear direction to get moving there.
Definitely.
Can I
Um,
quickly just repeat back what I think for Christian and I? So it sounds like you're interested in the next elegant step is having a conversation with the Colorado lab to kind of further explore the idea. One option might be to have them come to you all, which is what I think we just heard from Feker. Another option could be just based on their experience to say, you know, just see what recommendations they would have. One would be coming to you all. Another would become, kind of helping the HRC hosting, some type of event for community members at large, or perhaps they're a third or fourth or fifth option. But the next step is that you all want to speak with them. Is that something you want to happen in between now and the next meeting for like one or two commissioners to say we're going to meet with them again, like Aaron volunteered the first time to meet with Ana Silvia? Or is your desire to have them, a representative, come and talk to you at a meeting?
And do we want like somebody specific from lab, or do we want like Ana Silvia to come from staff?
Personally, I was thinking for the entire, during our next meeting or whenever, the lab is available, just so we're all together and able to kind of get educated together and make decisions together.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Just checking.
okay.
Great.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's all we have for that discussion.
That was good.
We have one more thing on the agenda in discussion items. This one is not me. Q4 2024 scheduling. Who's that?
You want me to do that, Christian, or you want to?
Yep. I think you have a little more background on that. So if you
Sure.
can pick that one up, that's great.
Yeah, so Q4, fourth quarter 2024. Hard to believe we're almost in the last 3 months of this year. Just wanted to lift up because we've have a couple of new commissioners. What JH and Feker already know is that heading into the multitude of fall and winter holidays, scheduling can be pretty challenging. It's not uncommon for boards and commissions generally, or committees, to not have, for example, a meeting that would normally land on the 3rd or 4th week of December, right between, kind of Christmas, New Year, other holidays. Similarly, oftentimes the week of the HRC meeting falls on Thanksgiving week. So just really wanted to have some time, kind of call out your time to kind of talk about that. So Christian and I can support your planning. One thing also that we wanted to share that for our Housing and Human Services Department, back in 2020, pre-COVID, so early 2020, we as staff had a plan to bring together in one place at one time all of the members of boards, which would be our Housing Advisory Board, our commission, which is you all, and then the Housing Human Services Department also works with like 8 or 9 committees who are city manager appointment, committees that help us make funding decisions for our competitive fund rounds, tenant advisory committee. We have an older adult services advisory committee. Really bring everybody together, and so you can meet each other. You're all supporting the work that we do every day, serving our community in different ways. And there's really never been a time to bring folks together just to have some shared focus on the work that we do as a department to serve our community, and by extension, all of you. So obviously COVID completely scrapped all those ideas, but we've recently as staff begun talking about that again and would really like to make this happen. We have a very specific topic that we'd love to engage with folks about, and that is we're looking at creating a different kind of annual report, if you will, for a department that really allows community members to look and see how the work that we're doing as a city staff and the investments that we make in other groups to help achieve our outcomes, how that's going, and share some stories about you know, the needs and the work in our community. So we would really love to have input from all of our board, commission, and committee members on that. And we're thinking that the first, you know, part of December, just the very front edge before things, right, but kind of after Thanksgiving, before the craziness of the end of the year, might be a really good time to do that. So we're floating this question to all of the aforementioned board, committee, commissioners, including you all, to see if you're interested in that. And if so, maybe the most convenient thing for most of the groups would be if they have a regular meeting to just, you know, kind of name this as a December meeting rather than having a regular meeting close to the holidays. And again, it's totally up to you. Typically, HRC meetings are not held, right? Kind of that close to kind of key holidays. So just wanted to bring out just the general question about scheduling for those 2 months. So we're not kind of in a scramble and trying to get a hold of people and saying, do you want to meet? Don't you? And having that kind of frenetic communication, but also just posing this concept of having all of our board, commission, and committee members come together in early December for definitely meet and greet, networking, you know, share some food and beverages, but actually have a time for you to give us some of your smart input on some communication and evaluation plans that we have.
I love that idea. Early December, are we talking like 9th to the 13th or more like 16th to the 20th?
Well, we would earlier in the month, the better. So what we would do is just go ahead and one of our admin colleagues in our department has already started to look at some potential dates and locations, just in case, you know, all y'all like this idea. And so we would probably put out to you all a couple or a few different dates just to see which one works best, because we're probably talking about, you know, 30 plus people collectively, including, but certainly beyond yourselves, to try to find a date. But the earlier the better, just because a lot of people, certainly for us as staff and many other folks in your personal lives, things get a little crazy as we enter the calendar year. So earlier the better in that month.
Cool. Yeah, I'm in a master's program now, and so I'm now kind of along the academic calendar. And I know the 12th or the 13th, I think, is the last day of CU's academic year, which could be nice to have it before that, because then I'll go on vacation, but also like could be nice to have it afterwards, so it's not conflicting. Yeah, because actually, yeah, I might be missing 1 or 2 of the next couple of meetings just because I have a class. Like right now, I'm skipping a class for this meeting, and hoping to do that minimally for the rest of the semester, which is just October and November. But just to have that in awareness that Tuesday evenings are challenging for me for the next couple months.
In terms of scheduling our next couple of meetings, I'm wondering if there's an option where we choose to convene only if we have agenda items, similar to we chose to, I believe, skip our May meeting or something like that because we didn't have an agenda item. So I'm wondering if that's a possibility, rather than say we're not going to convene in November or December because of the holidays. We'll only saying something like we'll check in early in the month to see if there are any agenda items.
Hmm.
I think that's mostly a question for commissioners.
Yeah, I'm super down to not meet if we don't have any clear agenda items. Yeah, I mean, like I said, like the next couple months are hard for me to attend anyways. But yeah, I think in general, it's good to meet if we have a good reason to meet. And I'm also in support of like giving us good reasons to meet, because I think it's better for us to meet. And so yeah, orienting less towards like, oh, nothing to do, like let's not meet, and orienting more towards like, let's be active and engaged so that there's reasons for us to meet would be my inclination.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea as well. Yeah.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Just make sure I understand your question, the responses, Emily. If you were to, is there interest in having the commission's December meeting be the gathering with other board, commission, committee members? Or are you saying regardless if we have that meeting, you'd still want to determine whether you'd have a meeting later in the month?
That would be my preference, not to
Gotcha.
default to having it be your December meeting. I see the value in our input, and I appreciate you all asking for input. And I think there could be, I don't know what what we might be doing in December, but I don't necessarily want to say like, no, we're not going to meet because of this convening that seems pretty separate from our typical functions.
I think that's great. Yeah, I think,
Understood. Just making sure we understand. Thanks.
yeah, if there's good reason for it, I'm okay with meeting 2 weeks in a row or twice in 1 week or whatever, especially if it's very different kind of meetings. So
Yeah, me too.
yeah, cool,
That's good.
sweet. Does that give Elizabeth and Philip and Christian, does that give you all the information you need from us?
I think so. It just, if any of you all are planning on taking time off around Thanksgiving and those end of year holidays, and again, I'm just calling it out because most times that is what happens. And if we're lacking 2 commissioners, we won't have quorum. So if you're taking vacation, if you're visiting family, if you go on a trip, just taking staycation, like whatever that is, and it would affect the normal kind of 3rd Tuesday meeting time, let Christian and I know right away so that we can change the date, or again, that could impact your decision as to whether or not to have a meeting. We're not trying to push you in that direction, just it is an annual question. And so the further ahead we can get on it, the easier it is for us to plan, and for Carlos and JH to, you know, kind of meet with us for that agenda prep and either move ahead or not.
Perfect. Yeah,
Thanks.
I will probably be around early December. I'll probably travel the week of Thanksgiving, but it doesn't seem like that's a time we're planning to schedule something, right?
I'm not actually looking at the November calendar right now. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just taking notes, but
Yeah, our November
sometimes it is that week
uh,
and sometimes it's the following week.
we're scheduled for the 19th, so
Gotcha.
I don't think it's an issue. Yeah, the use break is 25th to the 29th, so I'll probably travel then. So
Yeah,
it doesn't
the week of
affect us.
the week of Thanksgiving follows the week that we would be meeting.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thanks.
I will be on work travel on the East Coast, but I should still be able to make the meeting.
Great.
I don't have any travel plans, so I should be able to attend that meeting.
I will be here, and if we have it, it's fine. If we don't, too, it is what it is. So.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Cool. Thank you. So, are we moving on now to staff update?
Hmm.
Okay. Thank
We're
you.
like right on time. This period was supposed to end at 7:10 and we're at 7:08, so great.
Love when
Well,
that happens.
So now, thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Any question or clarification needed from any commissioners? I think we already passed that. Moving on. Now we can move on to the agenda item 8, which is update from commissioners. Wow, we already did that too. That's fast.
Oh, we do have staff update slides. Sorry. I might not have
Oh.
heard you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Let's do the staff update then.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna go turn the light on because it's getting dark. I'll be right back.
You get your glasses on too.
All right. And sorry to be toggling sort of like back and forth so much tonight. I wanted folks to be able to see each other while you're talking rather than just looking at a PowerPoint screen and maybe a strange thumbnail of just one person. So on your screen here, you should be seeing we have a number of updates to share with you all. Elizabeth, I know you've been talking quite a bit here, so I can just mention what I'm seeing here, and then if you want to jump in, I have a bunch on the next slide here. So as you all may or may not be aware, the city manager did release the 2025 budget. City Council is going to be considering and discussing the budget in upcoming meetings, including on October 3rd. As always, there is the option to tune in to those meetings, provide public comment, as well as just be present there for the discussion. So if you would like to do so and are not aware of how to do that, just get in touch and we can make sure that you have that information at your hands there. Anything else to add to that, Elizabeth? All right. City Police Oversight Panel recently updated its bylaws, including some modifications to its process. Meets on the second Monday of every month, and the meetings are open to the public. I know this group has, in the past, prior to my time here, expressed interest, has discussed sort of matters relating to the police oversight panel. And so just wanted to bring this to your all's attention. Very similar to city council meetings and very similar to this group's meetings. They're open to the public. And so you can check out what their meetings look like. I believe there should be links here, but we can share that out as well if you're interested. Anything that you want to add to that, Elizabeth? No? Okay. And then the Child Friendly Cities Initiative there's going to be an upcoming Youth Action Plan workshop on September 30th, and I know Elizabeth has an update for this one
Yes,
as well. So
I'll quickly speak
take
to
it
this
away.
one. Thanks, Christian. So JH and Feker will remember that we have occasionally presented about the Child Friendly Cities Initiative. It's a collaboration between the City of Boulder, one of our local nonprofit agencies called Growing Up Boulder, and UNICEF, the international organization, in which it's a youth-led process that involves looking at a wide range of different needs and opportunities that specifically affect and could be benefiting our youngest community members. So this has been a process in place for over the last year, and we have a little ways to go yet. But just wanted to share that the next milestone for the process is a Youth Action Plan workshop that's taking place on September 30 from 9 to 11 a.m. The reason that we pick that date and time is because that is a school off day for BVSD students, and therefore a higher likelihood that students would be able to participate. The reason that we have made some of these, let the HRC know about this process is number one, because one of the areas of focus of UNICEF and of course generally of the city and many of our nonprofit agencies, among all of the issues and impacts on children and ways in which children can engage in city, are regarding, safety, the kind of the rights of the child. Those are some of the areas that globally municipalities are kind of incorporating into their child-friendly city plans. So just wanted to bring this up more of as an update, even though Erin and Emily, you're hearing about this for the first time. If any of you, I sent the information to JH because he's really kind of shown in the past some interest in this topic. I know the daytime hours make it a little more challenging for a lot of adults to come. And if you can't make it, that's fine. There'll be another workshop in November, and there will always be opportunities if you all are interested in us kind of providing some updates on this process in the future. If you do want some more information about that workshop or about the initiative in general, feel free to let me know, and happy to speak to you.
Yeah, I would like to have some info. Is it happening
Okay.
during the day, Elizabeth? No?
Yeah, I sent you an email last week, but I know you've got a lot of those emails, that is, so I can go ahead and send that again, or just send the flyer to all of the commissioners if
Thank
any
you.
of you
That would be
are
very
interested as
appreciated.
well.
All right, thank you.
Great, of course.
All right. Then an update on the minimum wage discussion. As many of you will remember, we had city staff member Taylor Ryman come and give an update that would have been at the July meeting. And shortly thereafter, Taylor was taking that presentation to a city council study session. That study session took place, which is the YouTube link that you see on your screen if you are interested in checking that out. I will say the conversation on minimum wage, Taylor mentioned, begins at about 2 hours in. So if you're just looking for that content, you can save yourself some time. Just bump ahead. The next steps for this initiative here is council is considering a vote on a draft ordinance at the October 10th council meeting. Just for folks' awareness there. And then lastly, just wanted to bring to your attention some events that are happening in the community and opportunities to provide some feedback and input to service providers in the city. So we are just at the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month, which runs September 15th to October 15th. There were 5 Central American countries that celebrated Independence Day on September 15th and Mexico on the 16th. The Festival del Sol is going to be happening. That will be this upcoming weekend over at the Colorado Chautauqua, and you can find some more information about that. Looks like there's going to be plenty of opportunity to learn, engage with different types of vendors, different types of music, different types of food. It looks like it'll be a great opportunity. So please do check it out and report back if you do go. And then the next 2 bullet items that you see there are more sort of human services focused. There's a Neuro-Inclusive Housing Summit on Monday, October 28th from the whole day from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can register, lunch will be provided, and it's an opportunity for community members, professionals, anybody who has an interest in housing, specifically with a focus on folks with disabilities, as invited to attend. It's put on in partnership with Boulder County Housing and Human Services, Denver City and County Housing and Human Services, as well as Colorado Housing Finance Association, or CHAFA. And that will take place on CU's campus. And then the Boulder County Human Services is hosting a number of community input sessions to get feedback and ideas on how they deliver their services. Boulder County Human Services administers the lion's share, if not all, of the federal public benefits for our area. So things like food stamps, Medicaid, cash assistance, or Colorado Works for families, those types of benefits. So there's going to be the in-person session in Boulder on September 20th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. And then there will be a number of other sessions throughout Boulder County and virtual sessions. They each have a unique registration link. So I have on here to contact me if you are interested in attending. I just got some flyers that I'll push out to you all that have a QR code for those individual sessions. So no need to get in touch. I will send out the flyer to you all, and you'll have access to all of the registration links. And I do not have any community event or anything identified at the moment for Indigenous Peoples Day, which will be October 14th, just before our next meeting, but did want to call attention to that. I know there will likely be events that come up for the community, just have not found them yet. I have a meeting with our communications liaison to start discussing our October events and everything. So I might have some more information that I can share with you later in the week. That is all I got for you. Any questions from anybody or anything to add, Elizabeth?
Maybe just one thing to add, again, mostly for Erin and Emily's sake, is that for many years, up until about 1.5 years ago, the Human Relations Commission was one of their functions, although it's not in the ordinance, it's just kind of had been a habit or tradition for the HRC to be helping make funding decisions for our Human Relations Fund, which provides resources to lots of events, including those for Martin Luther King Day, Juneteenth, Indigenous Peoples Day, Immigrant Heritage Month, so among others. And so what Christian was just mentioning about, like not having the information yet on the events, we definitely know some events are happening. And it typically just takes a minute, once for those agencies to get the city the information that we can then help promote on web pages and in press releases and whatnot. So we'll definitely share that with you. That funding process is now being managed by our departmental investment staff, who are a mighty small but mighty force. And so the city does continue to support events like that when we get requests. And so we'll be happy to share that information with you when we have it, just like Christian said. Just a little bit of background for you, the two of you. And an update for JH and Feker.
Yes, thank you.
So are we no longer being asked to serve as reviewers for those funding decisions? No, we're not.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. There is an opportunity if any of you are interested moving ahead to help. Feker was serving in this role for a while, kind of when we were making the transition from HRC to staff. We do have a team of staff members who are not in our department, who are kind of community connected, have other types of lived experience to just help review applications as they come in and help make decisions. But yeah, it had become a process. I think it's safe to say JH and Feker that was had more inefficiencies than efficiencies, including for folks who are requesting funding. And so with input from the HRC and the grantee agencies that have been receiving Human Relations Fund, we reached out to everyone. This has been a minute now. Got their input about several things and ideas and options that we had to try to make that process a little more efficient and timely, especially considering that most of the organizations who are requesting funds are very small. Some of them are all volunteer agencies and just, they don't have like development staff, right, to manage and go through our process. So we've done a lot to streamline and simplify. And one of the things has been to, just kind of readjust, how we're able to make the decision. So it was great to have the HRC helping with that for a very long time. And I think it's, again, safe to say everyone was kind of eager for a little change to the process.
Got it. Thank you for that history, Elizabeth.
Cool. Thank you, Elizabeth. Sorry, my voice is going out. Moving on, we are now we can move on to agenda item 8, which is update from commissioners. That usually includes any events, updates, and other items. Are there any updates from commissioners? I think we already did that, but if you guys have any updates.
No updates. I haven't attended any events over the last 2 months, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you. We're almost at the end of the meeting, with that, I would like to pass it on to staff to resume the follow-up items. If you guys have anything, Elizabeth or Christian, you want to add?
Yep. I have 2 follow-up items identified here, and Elizabeth, correct me if I'm wrong or add them on there. But number 1, I will communicate with the HHS department director and city manager's office to let them know that the Human Relations Commission will be sending a letter to the city manager's office and to be on the lookout for that. And I will be available and ready, willing, and able to support in any communication wherever helpful. And then the second piece is we'll reach out to our point of contact with the lab to combat human trafficking to discuss getting a staff member at the upcoming October HRC meeting.
Huh?
Am I missing anything?
I think the third thing is just, as I mentioned, if we are going to be reaching out to other HHS, Housing Human Services, board and committee members about a joint gathering in early December. So just watch your email for some dates, and hopefully we'll find one that works for most people.
Okay.
Looks like
Gee,
Emily's raising her hand.
yeah, can I ask a question?
Oh, yes, please go ahead.
So I believe, Christian, you sent in our meeting packet the response to the our commission's letter to City Council. I'm just wondering if there will be an opportunity to discuss that, and if there's interest from the other commissioners at some point to discussing that response.
I think that's a good idea to discuss it when we get it, if we do.
Sorry, can you clarify I don't think I totally understood what you were asking, Emily.
So I believe, Aaron, before we started, and Christine forwarded us this letter, but we couldn't sign it because we weren't commissioners yet. A letter outlining some concerns about our commission's role and wanting more clarity. And Christian provided us in our meeting packet the response that I can't remember who signed it.
Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, Aaron Brockett and Nicole Spear signed it. So I was wondering if we could discuss that. And I know well, we still have half an hour. I don't know if everyone's gotten a chance to look at it, or if we want to postpone the discussion to a future meeting, but wanted to bring up, I would like to go through it and see if there's any follow-up items we can pick out. I didn't really understand, I guess, to put my cards out there, I didn't really understand where our role was clarified or what they were asking us to do. And I was curious if anyone else had anything they wanted to talk about related to it.
I actually totally missed that was included. So I'm gonna go ahead and read that.
It has been a while since I've also looked at it, so I wonder if having the discussion next meeting would be best.
Yeah, ideally, even though I think, it would be comprise its own agenda item for like discussion. So following process, it's probably better to put it on an agenda for a future meeting. However, before then, I think Christian and I would just encourage you, if you have specific questions, or if you would want either Christian or I or another staff member to come, if you have questions that JH and Carlos know about ahead of time, when Christian and I meet with the two of them before the October meeting, then we can talk about that and kind of for agenda planning. So it's a tiny bit of an extra step. Or you could just say, the request to JH and Carlos is just to, like, let's just have time on our meeting next week if you won't need additional support. I can share just briefly that it is, the content is really describing where City Council landed on its general priorities for the next couple of years. So it's likely a communication that went out to all boards, commissions, and committees. It wasn't necessarily just a very direct response to y'all.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It definitely seems like a copy paste to most people. Like, sweet, thanks for your priorities. Here's what we landed on. And there's not a whole lot of direct response to us in that.
And that's not at all dissuading discussion, but maybe just some context. But if folks haven't had a chance to review it, it may be best to request that the topic goes on the meeting agenda for next month.
Yeah, I would like to request, JH, that the letter go on our agenda for next month's meeting.
Well, I'll put it in. Thank you for making that request.
Thank you, Jade. And then Elizabeth, am I understanding you correctly? If we have any questions that might require follow-up, to email you and Christian before the meeting, a week before the meeting with those questions.
Yeah, or via JH and Carlos, really either way, but just we want to be sure we're as responsive as possible. So if you have like a burning desire for information and someone to speak to it, that's not one of us. We work ahead of time to see like, hey, is there someone else who you want to, or again, or ask JH and Carlos to try to invite to ask, right, kind of ask us to make available for this meeting so you can have a productive conversation. Sometimes it's not necessary, but sometimes it's, if you think it's helpful and you want somebody to come speak to it, Christian and I can help find that person or get the information to relay on to y'all so you have a good discussion.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Well, it looks like we're finishing early. Is that correct? I'm skipping something.
I think we're good.
Oh, cool. Thank you, everyone. With that, we can move on to adjourning tonight's meeting at 7:33. And thank you all for your participation tonight.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Christian, Elizabeth, should I send you that letter and then you send it to Nuria?
You could send it directly to her, and Christian, as he mentioned earlier, and I can just kind of give her and our director the heads up. Or you can send it to both of us and Christian can forward it on to her. Either way, doesn't matter to us.
Okay. Trying to, this is neither way is better than the other.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Then I guess I'll just send that to her, and should I CC you on the email?
That would be helpful. Yeah.
Perfect. Sweet. I'll do that then. Yay. Thanks so
All
much.
right, good night. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Good night. Thank you, everyone. Take good care.